Good evening, everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hello, Lori.
Hello, Catherine.
How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good. I am so good tonight. I'm good every time we get together, but tonight is a special night. I don't even know if I can tell the story about. There are so many stories we're going to tell about our guest tonight. So, first, let me just share a little bit. If anybody's watching for the very first time, my name is Catherine Asaro Myers, affectionately known as Rara, and I am broadcasting to you live tonight from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. I am here with my Gratitude Girls partner.
Yes, and I am Lori Delk-Radecki. I am in a tiny little town outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
There ain't no mountain high enough, Lori, to keep me from you, because this is such a highlight. For 8 years, we talk about this every time we get together. I can't believe it. 2013, we'll talk about how we met, and here we are, 2021. Never missed a month, never missed a show. Guest after guest, wonderful guest after wonderful guest, relationship after relationship. Who knew? Who knew that the day that we met on stage, let's tell our audience a little bit about that. So for those of our audience who's here today and they're like, what's this? We're here to see Eleanor. Why are we hearing about you? Let's talk about what created, what fostered this relationship and this platform. You tell the story so well. I'll chime in after if it's okay with you.
Okay, sure. So Catherine and I met on stage in front of thousands of people. So we are both in a direct sales company, and each year, the company at their international convention would have a theme for the year. And then at the convention, they would have an award for that theme. So 2013, the award and the theme for the year was gratitude. So each year, our CEO would get up on stage. He would say all the accolades and all the wonderful attributes of the person that he was going to give the award to that was nominated by their peers, by the thousands of customers and distributors in the company. And so I was in the back. I'm the techie, geeky type person. So I've got my video going. I've got my camera going. And they call Catherine Asaro Myers. And so she goes up onto the stage so gracefully and accepts her award, gets lots of pictures. And then for the very first time, and the only time since then, too, that I believe that they said that this year that there was a tie. So then he starts talking about all the accolades and attributes of the next person. And I'm sitting there thinking, who is it? Who is it? Okay, this narrows it down. Okay, from what he said here, that narrows it down. It could be this person or this person. So I had it narrowed down to like 2 or 3 people. And then all of a sudden he said my name. So Catherine and I actually met on stage, didn't know each other before that, and thousands and thousands of people, and we met there. But it was like one of those things, you know, how they talk about like the love at first sight thing. So it was kind of like that, but it was like love at first sight of best friends, business partners, entrepreneurs together, all the above. And it was just wonderful. We knew something great was going to happen. And literally like 2 to 3 minutes, Gratitude Girls was born. We didn't know what we were going to do with it yet at the time, but we knew we were going to do something big.
I knew, Lori, when I got my name called up, and it was in my I am statements, that I truly was manifesting that. Once I was up there and I saw that you were coming up on stage, I remember thinking, I'm going to get to meet Lori Delk. And I had thought about this for so long because you'd received so much recognition from our company, and specifically for giving the most gifts. And I thought, what would it be like to receive a gift from the girl who gives the most gifts in the company? What would that feel like? But of course, our audience should know that no sooner did I meet Lori and get off the stage, she gives me a gift, which I have right in front of me for 8 years. Actually, in May, it will be 8 years. Meeting Lori, meeting you on stage was really a highlight for me. I was shaking for me, and then I was shaking because I was in the presence of someone who I thought I would only get to read about. When we touched hands and went to the bottom of the steps, and we both knew that we would do something together. Again, we didn't know what it was, but we knew we would. The fact that we stuck to it and never changed our focus. Of what animal in life does that and never changes its focus, doesn't shift? We never went off track. We never said, but we can do this and we can. We serviced our community for almost 7 years without saying a peep about anything other than we're here to serve you. Last year, we decided to peep up and say, we're here to coach and train you. So 7 years of serving our community. And on the 8th year, we said, we're here to coach and train you, and we want to give you a gift. I don't know of any other creature that has done that. And I'm so proud that we have this ability to not only stick to it, but that we're able to get together and create something like that. Can I snap fast enough? And host this platform. So for all of the visitors and the guests that are here tonight, Lori is not the geek. She's the technical mountain. Anything that you see technical that happens, it's all Lori. It's not all me. It's not even a little bit me. It may be me going, that's a really good idea. Or what about this idea? But there is nothing about my hands on the keyboard that has anything to do with this show. So Lori does it all for 8 years, every single month, no matter where we travel, where we are. For that, I have to say, you deserve an award, another award, a Gratitude Girls award for being the mountain, being the pillar for what we do. So thank you so much for that. And I am thrilled and honored to have our guest here tonight. And I would love to take this opportunity to formally introduce Eleanor Noble. Eleanor Noble is a first-generation Canadian born in Montreal. She completed Dawson College's professional theater program, the Dome. Soon after, she hopped on a bus to do an audition tour across Canada, giving her the opportunity to perform on stages across the country. A few years later, Eleanor returned home and she settled there in Montreal. Eleanor has had a constant career in voice work for animation, video games, the radio, as well as theater, film, television, and commercials. Eleanor also teaches dubbing, a very special technique done in Montreal that perfects lip sync. Eleanor spent 2 years in Pakistan as a diplomat, working with the Canadian Embassy during a very unstable time. Upon her return to Montreal, she began working actively with her union as a council member. Eleanor has since become Vice President of ACTRA Montreal and ACTRA National Councillor, and the chair of the ACTRA National Women's Committee. Eleanor has negotiated 3 collective agreements and looks forward to doing more. Eleanor very much enjoys her continued work in her profession while advocating and fighting for broadening diversity in the industry and for safe and harassment-free work environments. Eleanor has amazing fur babies. Eleanor is a friend, a dear friend of mine who I haven't seen for over 13 years. And Eleanor, welcome to the Gratitude Girls show.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you. And very nice to meet Lori and everything and hear your beautiful story. That's super awesome. And no doubt working with you, Catherine, it's awesome.
Eleanor, it feels like it was yesterday, but yet so much happened in between.
Yeah.
That's 13 years.
Yeah.
The last time we spoke together, we won't tell the audience what we were doing. The last time we spoke, it was before I moved to Toronto, and we were having a real good girls chat. It was late at night. I don't want to get into that, but it was amazing.
I was in Pakistan. I think I was in Pakistan.
You were in Pakistan. I was in Montreal.
Morning time for me, and it was evening for you. And yeah. And I was like, hold on, I'll just get myself a drink. I know it's first thing in the morning, but
we were celebrating moving on, man. That was it. We were just celebrating
right.
life. You when you have a friend, you have a friend for life, and nothing can stand in the way. Not a country, not an ocean, not a lifetime, not a husband, not even 3 husbands. Friends are friends, and that's the way, that's the way it is. Eleanor, let's talk a little bit about to our audience so they know a little bit about a day in the life of Eleanor Noble. Now, I know you have fur babies nearby, so babies and puppies really get people warm and fuzzy. So I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about your fuzzy babies.
Well, I started with 2. Actually, when I first met you way back, I had 2 dachshunds, Penelope and Humphrey, one black, one brown. And I got them when they were puppies. And Penelope lived till 15 and Humphrey lived till 16. And when Penelope died, she was a little bit older. I started looking into rescues, real rescues, like middle-aged to senior rescues. And I have so far rescued 3. One was 11. He'd never been outside before in his life, and we gave him 2 fantastic years of his life. First time we took him for a walk, we came inside, we're like, who's bleeding? And it was all his little paws that never touched cement. But I gave him such a great 2 years because he stayed in an apartment and was not exposed anywhere. So it was very heartwarming to me. And so I sort of stuck to that plan. And I have 2 right there. The black one is Walter, and I got him when he was 5. He's now 11. And I just got Scooter, the little brown one, a year ago, and he's 6 or 7. I'm his 3rd home. And I don't know what he did, but he doesn't like no, and he doesn't like to be told he's a bad dog because he'll growl at me. But they all come as these sort of misfits because nobody really wants them. So I sort of feel like, I'm part of Santa's village with my misfit dogs that are all sort of quirky and come with all these like issues. And then I work on them. And it's so heartwarming to see their journey go from, sort of somewhat dysfunctional to almost normal. But they're so full of love. And now, like Scooter was nervous, Walter was nervous, and now they're just settled. And then you can hear my lovebird tweeting in the background, which I found on the street. Yeah,
No.
I found him on the street. His beak was bashed in and he was just hanging out eating a blade of grass and looking at me over his shoulder. And I had time to run around the corner, grab a garbage bin and a pot lid and scoop him up. And I ran everywhere and to all the vets and the pet shops and said, did anybody lose a bird? And they were like, no, it's yours. And I was like, I don't want a bird, but it's a little lovebird. You're supposed to get 2, but the vet said that if I didn't have a mirror anywhere and I just trained him to be with me, then I would be his inseparable. That's what they call them in French, inséparable. And yeah, so he hangs out on my shoulder most of the day. I clip his wings, so he acts like a dog. And he's with us all the time, and it's great. So I'm just like this little Miss Doolittle, I guess. Whatever refuge animals are wandering around, but it feels good. It's a
Well, Eleanor, you used to take people in, remember, many years ago? You were a people. Yeah, you just had people all the time. Right. Now look at that. Now you can control everybody. It's you were always so good with people. And I love we talk about your voice and how you toured the country. And I remember being in Montreal when you were actually coming to Toronto. And I remember thinking, wow, what is that like? Tell us a little bit about the journey that you have with your voice and acting and how you've experienced growing into that field.
Yeah, well, it was really fortunate. When I was in theater school, we had some teachers that overlapped in directing and things like that in the voice world. And it was a niche that everybody wanted to get into. And I was very fortunate to have gotten into it. And one day, one director said to me, I want you to audition for a boy's voice. And I was like, I don't know boy's voice. And he was like, just try to imagine what a boy's voice would sound like. And I got the role. And soon after, directors also are actors, and they worked, and they were like, who's that kid? And they were like, it's Eleanor Noble, and I'm an adult. And so the great thing about being an adult woman playing boys' voices is our voices don't change. They don't crack or go through any, life cycle. And so it's we're a commodity in the industry if we can sound boy enough, because they can use this on series that will last a long time and things like that. So yeah, so I've been very fortunate. I don't just do boys' voices, but that really broke me into the market and allowed me a lot of opportunity. But I could basically play from like baby up to, 110 years old and any other weird monsters and, sometimes animals, and spend the day at work. And what did you do today? I made squirrel sounds and bird sounds and whatever else. But yeah, it's a good vocal training. And the irony of it all is that I had a teacher in theater school who was like, Eleanor, it's going to be your toughest problem out there. It's going to be your voice, because you have a very youthful voice and it's never going to make you like crack into the woman thing. And I was like, oh, darn, what do I do about my voice? And then I'm like, well, funny that became my main bread and butter. So it ended up working for me in the end.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about, we're going to talk to you about gratitude, of course, throughout the course of the show. I'm just curious, can you share with our audience maybe some of the unforgettable, the memorable movies that you've worked on, the movie sets?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, I did work on a Nickelodeon series way back, and that was probably my favorite because Pat Morita was on it. It was like a Nancy Drew. It was called The Mystery Files of Shelby Woo, and I played her best friend. And what was fantastic about that was just, being able to be a lead regular in a series and your crew becomes your family. And my everyday was that. And I'd wake up in the morning and I was like, see, I'm born to do this. And so that was really one of the biggest highlights, in a massive opportunity. And then after that, because I stuck around in Montreal, you take whatever work comes here. And so I've had the opportunity to be in, quite a few movies of the week and, this and that and whatever all over the place. And, but I'm mostly in studio, but I still do. I just shot a movie of the week, a Hallmark thing in last September. And so I think it should be coming out maybe midsummer or something like that. It's called Seasoned with Love.
Oh, how nice. Is there one moment that you can share with us that you think that would just crack us up? Something that happened on one of your sets or in one of your opportunities, something that you did at work that, people just don't know the industry. For those who don't know your industry, like, I'm still not sure what she's talking about. I don't know what voice work is. Like, how could it be fun? Is there something that happened that was hilarious?
Oh gosh. I mean, there are so many fun moments. I think I'd have to say that the most spontaneously fun stuff is when you're doing theater. That is really, you just, because it's live and it's in the moment, as opposed to film and television and commercial where it is really fun. But if you mess up or something happens, you can do a retake, so that sort of stuff is like, stories in the moment of the day, and then you sort of move on. But or in studio, you just do a retake of whatever your voice stuff is. But I would say that my favorite stories really come from theater, because it's just so alive. I mean, I suppose, when you're working with a really good crew and a really good set, I was notorious for laughing, which, I mean, I really did have to learn to get a grip on that, but my laugh would be infectious. So if I started laughing and I wasn't supposed to be laughing, then my body's vibrating, and then the person next to me starts to vibrate and laugh. And by the time it's infecting the whole thing, your camera guy is going like this, and then the director's like, cut, Eleanor, and then you're like, I'm sorry, but it's so funny. I need a 5-minute break to reset, and it could be anything. But I'd say in theater, oh gosh, couple of years ago, I was in a play and we got horribly sick and we just couldn't get off stage fast enough to cough in the wings. And we were like, we can hear you. Like the whole audience can hear you. You're not far enough off that we can't hear you. And I had a lot of costume changes, and there were just literally so many, and I had split seconds in the dark to run off stage and change absolutely everything and put layers on with shoes and buckles. So I was like, you need to tape all the holes in the buckles so that there's only one hole that I can put that. Why do I have buckle shoes when I had these fast changes? But one time I came off and I did have a list, but I don't know what happened, but I couldn't really see the list. And I was stripping everything off. And thank God we have a, stagehand in the back. And she came around, she was like, Eleanor, that's the wrong costume. And I was like, what? And I had snaps. So I was like, oh crap, I couldn't. So I had to like redress. And so I was in this huge panic and I couldn't because, and I kept saying, slow is fast, but you can't. It's like being in a horror movie. So I'm trying to do up, and nothing's doing up and my buckles on my shoes weren't on. And I just had to run out and I was half dressed and half not dressed and doing my lines. And then I was like, yeah, whatever, on stage. I was just, doing up my dress the whole time thinking, I was just in this outfit that I just tried to strip off. And now I'm coming back. It's completely unrelated as to why I would possibly be half undressed with my shoes all flapping in the wind. But, nobody knows the story. So the audience didn't notice. I noticed. But those are just really fun moments. You do have to keep yourself calm in your head. And then you say, oh, well, I'm saying my lines and people know what the story is, and you carry on.
They don't really know. They don't know what was going to happen.
They don't really know. And I'll just add one of my favorite stories was something happened on stage and I thought it was so funny, and I came up, something was mispronounced or whatever. I came off stage and I had the giggles. So I had to go off and like let off some steam. And when I came back around for my next entrance, do you remember Jane Wheeler? It's a Jane Wheeler story. She was standing in the backstage, and there was a sweatshirt hanging from a hook, and she thought I was the sweatshirt. So she was having an entire conversation with the sweatshirt. And then when she saw me around the corner, she did a double take and she was like, oh crap, the whole time I've been talking to the sweatshirt. And I'm like, okay, you don't want to answer me. And I just gotten over my giggles. So I was like, what? We had to go out. I continued doing another scene, but I thought that was the funniest thing, that she was backstage having this whole conversation with a sweatshirt, thinking it was me until I showed up again. But yeah, it's all filled with little anecdotes like that all over the place. So,
and focusing, I guess, is one of the things that you need to know how to do.
Oh yeah, you have to, if anybody's ever been in hysterics and you need to try to figure out, because it gets tiresome. Not everybody wants to hear, be dealing with you laughing all the time. So you do have to grow up and mature on a dime and get over it. So yeah, you got to rein in deep and dismiss that thought or that feeling. And when you feel it creep up again, you gotta threaten yourself. You're gonna get fired. Or
And with all the work that you're doing in the industry, you've decided to go into, I guess, the politics of the industry as well, correct?
Yeah. I've been really fortunate to have a full career. I haven't done any other work except for my little break in Pakistan, but I've only ever worked as an actor. I've been very fortunate to do so. And so being on the ground and always being sort of interested in the politics and caring so much about my union and the people that I work with, it really appealed to me and made me want to go after advocating for people. And as I grew in the industry and the more experience I got, then the younger generations coming in, I felt very protective of them when we were working together. Like, oh, don't sign that, like just wait, I'm going to check and then we'll, that kind of thing. So I become the good pest on set. Try to be nice and not make any enemies, but there are rules. That's all we have to do is follow rules. But as you know, when #MeToo came out and things like that, our industry is filled, as any profession is, with really bad behavior that was that where people were entitled to behave badly and got away with it. And it's mostly because we are contract workers. So we only have to tolerate bad behavior for a certain amount of time. And if we can suffer through it, then our contract ends and we move on. And so that's why abusive situations happen in our industry so frequently, because there's always a revolving door of people coming through. So the perpetrators can, have better chance of getting away with it, and you're not living with it every single day, which would be different. But we're also leaders in change in the world, because everybody watches television or film or whatever, and we transmit the stories out to the world. And so what we're sending out there has an impact, like seeing diversity on screen has an impact. Telling stories of how people can help each other has an impact, those kinds of things. And so that became really important to me. And so I just started working my way up the ladder in the political end of things, and I love it. And now I'm the chair of the ACTRA National Women's Committee, and it's remarkable speaking and talking with women across the country. And during COVID, I had the opportunity to be part of meetings with women's committees from the Canadian Labour Congress, and just hearing the impact that COVID has on women, and how we are the last, the bottom of the rung. So when women are laid off, or they're the biggest caretakers, so they're looking after their children, they're doing this, and if they're laid off, that affects their pension later on, it affects their independence, it affects their, very different from men. And I was thinking when I was watching one of your shows, how it's so interesting that women are always doing the work and the groundwork and building the foundation and fixing things and repairing ourselves from, damage. And where's all the men's groups fixing themselves and working on themselves, like we're always,
You mean gratitude men? Where are they?
yeah,
Oh no, now the cat's out of the bag. We have a sequel to Gratitude Girls.
There we go. Of something different, something where they're advocating better to be better workers and better people and better, everything.
And that leads me, I know Lori probably has a question, I'm sure. I just want to ask you one more question, or a few more, but this one, what's in the future for you now with the experience that you have? And this is the industry, that's your baby, that's your home. Where will you go from here in your industry with what's going on?
I don't know. We are a little bit at the hands, because I've stayed in Montreal, we're a little bit in the hands of what comes to the city in regards to where our profession goes. So we're in the hands of that. And on the political side, I don't know. I would just like to keep working my way up the ladder there, because we're in a really fundamentally incredible time, and it's all about change, and change for the better. And I know there's a big population that's, clinging on to tradition, and like very white tradition, and it's unfortunate because it's very narrow, and it's not even what my street looks like, or where I went to school looks like. It's not, and we don't want to, it's so much richer to broaden our horizons and our diversity and all these things in stories. And so I just really am looking towards having voice in this country to advocate with, you know, the Writers Guild and things like that to get these stories out, more roles for women, and, you know, screw ageism and stuff like that. Like, have stories that interest us, not just, you know, we convince people what stories they want to watch. You know, if we only do one kind of story, then people will be convinced that that's the story they need to see. But as soon as we convince them to broaden their watching and they see other things, they end up actually liking it. So
Well, Lori and I are available to discuss the development of Gratitude Girls internationally between Canada and the US. And we're definitely available to talk about the script and perhaps co-executive produce that. Just throwing that out there. Lori, I know you have some questions for Eleanor.
Yes, one big thing I have is, you know, you've done so many things and have brought so many gifts to the world, right? But we all have, you know, this is the Gratitude Girl show, and, you know, and we all have things to be grateful for in our lives, and so many different people and events and things. But I wonder if there's just like one story that you would like to share with us of somewhere, either some person or something that you're grateful for in your life, that you'd like to just share that one story with us.
ooh, that's big. Gosh, that's a big, okay. So who would I be grateful for? Boy, I think I'd have to be really grateful to my parents, because they never stopped me from doing what I wanted to do. They never questioned, or, and because of the freedom they gave me in it and the confidence they gave me in it, I was able to pursue a career and make a living off of it. That's one thing. And gosh, I mean, there's so many incredible people I'm grateful. I'm grateful for Catherine, because Catherine was with me with me on a treadmill talking about every issue in my growing pains time of my life, where, you know, I was developing to be the person I am today. And I'm I'm I did a lot of reflecting after I got divorced, because I was married and then got divorced, and I was trying to sort of understand where my life was at that point. And so another thing, you asked me one thing, but, you know, I don't know how to answer in one way, but another thing that I was really grateful for was that in reflection, I carefully examined my life and where I was. And I thought, you know what? I don't actually have any regrets. Like, I wouldn't have changed a damn thing. I had disappointments, but I recognized and I realized that regrets and disappointments were very different. You know, like, we all have a plan and an expectation. Expectations are evil, but a plan and expectations, like, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have children, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Well, you know, I ended up not having children and things like that. I did want children, but I ended up not having. But where I am now, I don't regret that. Am I disappointed? Sure, I'm disappointed that didn't happen, but I don't regret that it didn't happen. So just processing all of that stuff. So in other words, I'm really grateful for my journey, because I wouldn't have changed a single thing in it along the way. And really that bounces back to my parents just being really solid and giving me the confidence and forgiving me and accepting me and going along my bumpy, crazy journey in life. They just were always like, we're proud of you in the end. And that always reinvigorated me and helped me get to the next stage and keep going, because I didn't have to question too much. Okay, I failed at that, but it's okay. Like, they still love me. So, my friends still like me, my parents still like me, and I'm okay, and I can move on. But it gave me an incredible sense of empowerment, that they were so generous with their love towards me without ever being invasive or invading my space or anything like that. They just let me go. So I feel very fortunate for them and grateful.
You have amazing parents, to both your parents, you know, many, many heartfelt hugs and kisses to them, and let them know if they're watching or they're going to watch after how I remember them and your journey and what you're saying about them. I see them, I hear them, and from what I know, they have been always supportive. You have amazing, amazing parents. I'm wondering, why'd you stay in Montreal?
Well, I left for a while. Like I said, I had an audition tour, which, Lori, that made me laugh because there was a bit of a spelling mistake. It wasn't an audit tour, because that's a different thing.
The different tour.
That wouldn't be a happy tour, I don't think, to audit people along. No, when I did my audition tour, I left for a few years. So I lived in Vancouver and Calgary a little bit, and then Toronto, and then eventually I came back. And mostly because once I left Toronto and I lived in once I left Vancouver and I was living in Toronto, I was auditioning here all the time. So I was on that 401 constantly. And it didn't make sense to stay in Toronto at that point. So I moved back here. And then when I got married, then I went to LA and I was there for a little while doing some pilot seasons. And then I just eventually, my dad had a heart attack. Remember that?
Yes.
And then I was like, at that point I was doing so much voice work and, you know, spending time in LA, and I was like, I'm really happy, and I work with these phenomenal people. I have so much fun every day. So what am I doing here? And I think I'm going to be okay. And so that's why once I came back to Montreal, I was like, I'm really good here. I'm surrounded by an incredible community. I'm a working actor, you know. In other places, I wasn't always a working actor, but in Montreal, I'm a working actor. So, so that made that decision really easy.
And you are an icon. You are an icon in your industry. For those who don't know you, if we look you up on IMBD, what are we going to see? A laundry list of work.
Yeah, there's stuff. You know, that's Canadian actors. We're in a bunch of stuff and nobody knows us.
We know you. We're so happy to have you here. Lori, do you have any other questions for Eleanor?
I do have one. So I see behind you up on your wall, like in the hallway, is that like greeting cards you have hung up there?
Well, this row is sympathy cards for all my dogs that died.
Aww.
I can't, they're just so part of my life. So they stayed there, and I don't know what the bottom card is. And then the top card is just at Christmas time, when people send me family pictures, my close friends that are far away, I just leave those pictures up there because I have no more room on my fridge. I'm one of those people where my fridge is a mess full of photos. So
that's so sweet.
Well, we're going to contribute to that, right, Lori?
Right. Yes, absolutely. And yes, that says so much about you, you know, of you're a people person and relationship person.
Yeah, my dogs are my children now. So, but they're
And
pretty
and Eleanor, we are going to send you something, so hopefully we'll make it to either the fridge or we'll make it to the top of the hallway. So we'll create something with your permission. We will send that to you.
awesome.
Now, we have a part of our show where we like to give it over to you. So if you saw another show, you saw that we did this. What we like to do is pass the baton over to you, and you can ask us. Of course, it's completely unrehearsed. Any question that you like, just direct it to us and let us know who you're asking first and what you'd like us to answer.
Okay. All right. So, Catherine, um, why did you end up staying in Canada? And do you ever want to return to the US? My partner's American, by the way, he's from New Jersey.
I know.
You'd love him.
I know. I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah, you'd love him. Yeah, so yeah, why stay in, do you miss Montreal? Why stay in
Yeah.
Canada?
You know what?
And do you want
Thank
to ever
you.
return to New York or?
Well, thank you for asking me. Do I miss Montreal? Yes, I miss Montreal. And as you know, I lived there for 26 years.
Yeah.
And I lived in New York for 28. I lived in Montreal for 26. I live here for 13. I guess I like to move around. Montreal is where I raised my family. It is where I have connections, deep connections like yourself. You know, I feel like I could call you in the middle of the night, even if I hadn't spoken to you in a decade, and there would be like not skipping, nothing wouldn't skip a beat. When you move to a new place, it takes 20 years to develop those relationships. I'm here 13. So I do miss Montreal. It's a beautiful city. My family's here.
Right.
So because my family is here and my entire family is here. So not by design, it happened, just happened like that. So this seems to be the place to be for now. But one of the funny things that I used to tell myself was, and you know, I'm from New York and je ne parle pas français. When I came to Toronto and I walked down the street, I'm like, I now know what people are finally saying. Because for 26 years, I would have to wonder what exactly was someone saying? What if someone was saying, watch out, there's a car coming up on the road, watch out, that I was not learning the language. I mean, as you know, I've managed. So when I came here, I knew every single word that was being said, and I'm an auditory learner. And I'm auditory digital learner. So being an auditory learner, not hearing and understanding to the depth and detail that I live on was a void. And I filled that void by working and by communicating because I wasn't able to really fill my need of auditory experience. So when I walked outside and I walked around, it was like, yeah, I think I know what's going on. Sure, I know what's going on. I absolutely know what's going on. So I had that sort of funny little missing link that was more like buried in here, but didn't really change what I did. Going to New York, my parents died over, I don't even know. I swear I don't know if it's 20 or 25 or 27 years ago. It feels like it was yesterday. So when my parents left this earth, that was a big deal for me. That was no longer my home. Now I have amazing cousins and family and not so amazing family in New York. You know, that's life, right? Somebody is number one and somebody's number two and somebody's not. So I never really felt the need to go back there because I had already been there. And it was different. It was a very different life. When I was 28 and I was in New York, you know, real estate broker, working 7 days a week, you know, being a single mom, doing what I was doing. When I went back, I was a married woman, married to the man that I am now as a tourist. And then to go back to New York to work, to go back to New York in my 60s to do what? Because you're either very rich and happy or you're not. To go back to New York and start all over? Not really. I mean, I could probably go anywhere and do anything. I just feel like I have already been in New York. So for me, it's the experience of that city, not to go back and live there, to experience what New York has to offer. Absolutely. To go back as a tourist, positively, to go to the Waldorf where I've stayed, to go to the Trump Towers, to go I didn't mean to mention anything, to go to bookstores, to go to Central Park, to go to all these different places that I spent, time hanging out, developing relationships. Positively, this is my home. Now, that being said, in the 13 years I'm here, I've moved 11 times. I have bought and sold. We are constantly moving.
Why?
I love it.
You love
I
it.
love the experience of living in a different home, in a different city, in a different suburb. And I know, like, Lori's probably just laughing hard. If I haven't lived in it, if it's a high rise, I want to live in it. If it's a farmhouse, I want to live in it. If it's a condo, I want to live in it. If it's 3-story house, we want to try that. If it's a waterfront property, I want to see what that's like. We want to experience different things. Oh, I want to see what it's like to live in a renovated country house. It's a thing that I have about real estate.
Wow, that is pretty cool. And I've never left my place.
And I love you for that.
But it's been my one stability in my life, because I had a house in Ottawa. My ex-husband was everywhere else, and we went everywhere else. And then I was always able to come back to this place. So, and I love my place, but
I totally understand. And I understand that. At the age of 15, my fate was sealed. I started moving at 15. That's when it started for me. And it's just been a journey of me moving. No wonder I got into real estate.
yeah. But you actually make it sound really fun. I'm like, that's kind of a cool idea.
It is. It is definitely fun for us.
That way. You're like vacation. It's like going on a vacation, but you're just swapping houses around.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on an Airbnb right now.
Wow.
Thank you.
So how long have
asking.
you been in this house? In this place?
It'll be a year in May.
Wow.
It's already too long.
It's already too long.
No, we love it here, but we used to live in multiple houses. So as you know, when you knew me, I always had a country house. I lived in Knowlton and I lived in Laval. And prior to that, my husband and I have always had 2 homes. So moving and living in 2 places is pretty natural for me.
Yeah, that's all my relationships have been long distance.
I know that.
Everybody asks me, why again? I'm like, I don't know. I don't seem to know anything different. And I'm like, well, who's here?
Your love is over there. That's a great question for me. Thank you so much for asking me that. I'll mute while you speak to Lori.
Okay, Lori, what is your favorite thing about what you do? And did you say you're in Tennessee?
Yes.
Okay. And how often have you moved?
Okay. Well, let's see. The most favorite thing of what I do is helping people to be better. So in so many of the things, I own 5 different companies. So there's a lot of things that I do between web and graphics design and branding and marketing, and then speaking, and an author of a couple books, and coaching and training, and our Gratitude Girls, and I have a couple other nonprofits. But when in any of those areas, when I help somebody to get to the place that they want to be, then that's like, it's like, the money's good, but knowing how they feel and how they respond to that is just like you can't put a price on that.
Right.
Helping someone to get to see where they really wanted to be, or to be what they could become that they never thought that they could become, or see themselves in that way, that, because a lot of people have great potential, but they don't see themselves that way. They don't believe in themselves. And so when you help them to get that belief, and then they actually get there, then it's just like, it's just wonderful. So that's like my most favorite thing.
Mentor, leader, and guider.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And as far as moving, so funny story. So all my life growing up, when I was younger, we moved all the time. My dad was first, he was in the Air Force, so I was an Air Force brat. Then he was a custom home builder, so we moved wherever houses needed to be built. And so our final move was when I was 17. He moved me from Houston to this tiny, tiny, tiny little town, that from the big city of Houston to this little town that had a minuscule Walmart and one McDonald's and a movie theater that looked like, I think it had like 4 movies playing there, you know, and just everything tiny. And of course, as a 17-year-old, I was like, oh my goodness, Dad, what did you do to me? And then I met a boy and fell in love, and that changed all that. So then I moved into a house. I was in the same house for 24 years. And my kid's dad passed away 8 years ago. And I just worked my business and raised my kids for 7.5 years. And then I met an amazing man and got remarried just last year. So we bought a house out in an even smaller town outside of my other small town, and renovated this and built like our dream home. And so that was from June till May, well, till April. What are we in? March of this year. We put this house up for sale because my other house that I've been in for 24 years wasn't selling for what I wanted it to. And we decided that I didn't want to lose the equity in that house. So we put this house up for sale that we just put a bunch of money into, and are going back and renovating that house. So this house, we have to be out by May 15th. So as soon as I finished unpacking, I started packing again. And we're moving into Airbnbs until our renovations are done on our other house.
Wow. That's like a full-time job. Okay, so do you know where the Elephant Sanctuary is in Tennessee? Are you close? Is it right next door to you? Because then I'm coming to visit.
Yes, it's about an hour away. So yes, come on down.
It's on my bucket list, is to get to that sanctuary.
Really,
Oh, yeah.
I've never been there either. So Eleanor, let's go meet there.
Let's go. Let's go.
As soon as the house is done, you'll have to come down, because then we'll have a guest room too.
Oh my gosh, I love elephants, and that is on my list. When I found out about that sanctuary a few years ago, I was like, I have to go.
We have so many wonderful things here. We've got that an hour this way. We've got another petting zoo an hour this way. And then 3 hours this way is the Memphis Zoo, which is like one of the biggest zoos ever. That is great. And then we've also got the Nashville Zoo, which is okay. And then we've got the Knoxville Zoo, which is even bigger too. So I love animals, so I go to all of them.
Have you been to the Elephant Sanctuary?
Yes, I've been to all of them. It's so wonderful.
That's awesome. I was following that like little dog and elephant story for a while. I can't remember what their names were, but the dog was in love with the elephant, and I think that was all in Tennessee.
Well, now you know someone in Tennessee, so not that you needed to know someone, but now you know Lori, so there's another reason too.
Awesome.
Eleanor, those are great questions. We really appreciate that. And we love I might love it more than Lori, the spontaneity, the spontaneity of it, because we're unrehearsed. We are having this show from a place of gratitude, listening and sharing stories about your life and what you've done and your journey. And to think that, imagine if 14, 15 years ago, someone would have said, Eleanor, you're going to be on the Gratitude Girls show, and it's a show, like, we wouldn't have thought that. I don't think we would have thought that. So the fact that it just goes around and you're there and you're so receptive to being on our show, I'd like to invite you to have an open policy. If you have something, an open door, if you have something that you want to share with us, some amazing gratitude story happens, and even if it's not amazing, you just want to share it with us and our audience, that you come back and you tell us again about your life and what's going on, because you have a home here with us.
Aw, thank you so much. This was so much fun. It was so nice
You're
to see you.
welcome. You're welcome. It's so good to see you. Is there anything that you would like to say to our audience or your fans before Lori and I talk a little bit about, the next thing that we're going to talk about?
Oh, I just think women are changing the world. We always have been changing the world, but I think even more so now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being a strong advocate. Thank you for being such a good friend. Thank you for sharing and opening your heart and for always sharing your family with us and with me. And I am thrilled beyond words that you're here. And if you would like to recommend any of the friends that we know that you think they have a gratitude story, please let them know about us, and we would be happy to talk to them about that, because that's what we're leading into next, Eleanor. Lori and I are going to talk a little bit about being on our show. Hang out with us, please. Lori, yes, thank you so much, Eleanor Noble. So Lori, let's say somebody's watching the show. They're thinking, I want to be Eleanor. I want to know how to get on the show. What do I do? What is the protocol? Can you share a little bit about what that's like for our guests?
Yes, absolutely. So go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/gratitude girls. First, like our page, then click send a message, and send us a message that tells us a little bit about you, about what you're grateful and thankful for, your story of gratitude that you would like to share with the world. Also, leave us your contact information and the best way to get back with you. And then Catherine and I will both read it, go over it, and get with you to find out when you can get on our schedule, because we are actually already booked up for the entire year this year, and we are booking for 2022 already.
That's amazing. We're so excited about that. In January, we always have a goal to book the year, because we know that if you want someone special, that you have to book them in advance, like Eleanor, and just get in people's schedules. So we want to make sure that we are in your schedule so that you know that we're serious about having you on the show. So Lori, we're booking into 2022. That's awesome. That is amazing. So if someone says to us they want to be on next month, we're going to have to say January of 2022, which is like unbelievable. So we never ever miss a show. And it's the fourth Tuesday of every month. We go live 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, 6:30 Pacific time. We are here every single month and we love it. This is our life. Now, I say that and you might think, how is that your life? Because once you're a gratitude, oh gosh, retake, cut. Once you're a gratitude girls, you're always a gratitude girl. You just don't get out of that. That's a mindset that we're in. My entire day and weeks function around the show. And it functions around meeting people and talking to people. So when you see us come on and talk to Eleanor and you think, well, that looks really easy, know that we're praying that everything goes great, because it's technology and it's people and it's lives, and we put all our energy into everything going smoothly. So if you enjoyed the show tonight, please leave us a comment and let us know what you liked about it. And if you have any questions for Eleanor, we'll have all of her contact details of how you can reach her. But reach out to Eleanor and ask her if you want to make a difference in the world, if you want to know a little bit more about acting and voice work and what Eleanor's journey is like. Reach out to her. And if you're shy, ask us. We'll reach out to her for you. So I want to thank you, Lori. Thank you, Eleanor. This is such a big part of my day, such a big part of my life. To my family and to my friends who are watching and those who are catching the replay, I'm thrilled. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Ciao.